Hello, I'm Martin Fencka and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Civilization 5 as Ethiopia. So as I said at the end of the previous episode, I won't be playing this series all the way until the victory screen. It's not necessary at this point. After we took Assur, it's quite obvious that the game is over. It will be just about the grind to get all of the capital cities, to get the victory screen. But it wouldn't be a challenge. All of the AIs are pretty significantly behind. We already own the Assyrian capital. And also the defense of Assyria just fell apart, so it wouldn't be a problem taking some more cities from him to vassalize him, and then the rest, would take me probably like 4, maybe 5 episodes to get the remaining capitals. But it wouldn't be a challenge. Most of the time it would be just moving units from one side of our territory to the other. That would be the most difficult part, to be honest, or the part that would take the longest. The rest would be just a massacre. You can see that I'm not even starting this episode at the end of the previous one. Instead, I loaded one of the save files from the progress run. It's turn 415 of the progress run, and the whole reason why I restarted this series, why I tried the game again as authority, let's say, or with the authority opener, was to compare the progress and authority run. So I think it's only fitting that the last episode of the series is gonna be a comparison, and of course I want to compare the state of the game at more or less the same moment. We finished the previous episode on turn 417. Here, this is turn 415 of the progress run. So let's just check how the game looked like at this point during the progress run. Then we're gonna load the game from the end of the previous episode, and we're gonna compare how it looks like, and I will talk a little bit about where I think were the crucial moments that made the authority run so much smoother, and what is the main differences between the progress and authority, why authority went so much smoother. So let's start here. Let's check quickly the state of the map here, and also we're gonna check our yields and some of the important yields and resources. What is the state of our science, culture, how many tags we have, how production looks like, especially in the capital, and also on our military, and also state of the map at this point. What I should start with is one unfortunate moment that happened during the progress run that I didn't expect, and that didn't happen during the authority run, and that's the moment when Shaka managed to get out of the first war that he started losing pretty decisively, and he managed to get out of it without basically losing anything, or well, anything except those 2 cities that we already own. But when he surrendered to India voluntarily, became voluntary Indian vassal, with that he instantly ended the war that otherwise would end up with him being our vassal, because at the moment when he became Indian vassal, the path was open for us to take Nobamba, I think liberate Bucharest. I'm not sure if at that moment he controlled Bucharest or not, but I think he did. So we would liberate Bucharest, we would take Nobamba, take Ulundi, and I think at that moment we would be able to vassalize him. I even think that maybe taking Nobamba and liberating Bucharest at that point would have been enough to get him as a vassal, and do the same thing as we did in the authority run. We, if I remember correctly, we didn't take Ulundi. We just made sure that we secured this side, had a vassal, and then could turn our attention and send all of our units to a different border and focus the whole strength of our military on a different target. I think during the authority run, once I vassalized Shaka, I then was able to focus everything on India. And basically, the whole time during the authority run, we are just fighting one AI at a time, compared to the progress run, where because we are never able to gain control over Shaka, we always had to have our military divided between 2 sides. We had to keep an eye on Monte and Shaka. In a way, this happened as well in the authority run, but we had slightly better positioning of our city, so it was very easy to just defend here with only 5 units. So basically our whole military focused on Shaka, then on India, and then when we had enough units, we took out Arabia and Assyria at the same time. You could say after what I just talked about, it was just about you didn't gain control over Shaka and that just slowed you down and just everything snowballed out of control basically. But it's just not just that. It's also about the rest. The reason why we were not able to gain control over Shaka was also that we never hit our power spikes in time to like get rid of him in time. I already checked all of the science, culture, and everything, and in this game we are pretty significantly behind compared to where we were in the Authority run. During the Authority run, we are able to hit our power spikes earlier, and that's important. The earlier you hit your strong points, the more time you have to take advantage of them, the longer your unique units, your strongest units, fight enemies that are behind them, that are weaker than these unique units, and you can progress these wars and make gains during the wars much faster, and you can like go much deeper, get more cities faster. And that's one of the reasons here why we had so many problems with Cheka. He always managed to get the proper defenses in time. That was caused by the weaker like progress tree that doesn't allow the proper snowball to start early enough. So let's check how the situation looks like when it comes to our yields. Currently we are making 531 science per turn. These numbers, they will be very different, the progress and the Authority run. Here we have to take into account the fact that during the Authority run on turn 417 we have multiple vassals that will be increasing these numbers. Also we have more cities, so the difference will be massive, but with of course more cities, our social policies and tax are more expensive. So it's not, you can't just look at the numbers and say, holy crap, this is such a huge difference, it's insane. You have to take into account that everything with more cities becomes a little bit more expensive. But it's still or better idea, or we can get a better idea if you look at the number of tags that we have currently and social policies. So here Assyria is at 50 tags, we are at 47. Not a massive difference. On the Authority run, Assyria is actually ahead compared to what Assyria was in this game. So Assyria was doing even better during our Authority run. At 417 in the Authority run, Assyria has 52 tags. I'm not sure about social policies, but I think he even has one extra social policy. But our state is significantly, or we are in a significantly weaker state. We are at 47 tags in the Authority run, we are at 52, so it's 5 tag difference. Let me check how long it takes to get one tag at this point. Let's take this line. This is like the average. So it's 20, let's say 20 turns. Okay, to make the math easier, let's say it takes about 20 turns, excuse me, to get a tag at this point in the game. That means during the Authority run, with being 5 tags ahead, we are 100 turns ahead tag-wise compared to what we were here. When you say that, it's just insane how much slower the progress is. Maybe I should say one more thing. I had less experience with this patch during the progress run, so I made some mistakes when it came to planning, like long-term planning, because there were a few things that I didn't expect. Specifically, I would say the problem for me during the progress run was income. I didn't expect the income to be hit so hard in this version, but still, even if I knew that, it wouldn't have made 100 turns difference. Next thing to compare is social policies or culture. Well, social policies is better. Again, the number here doesn't say that much. You'll see the massive difference when I reload, but it's better to look just strictly at social policies. We currently have 4 social policies in rationalism. Yeah, I did take a different tree, but I think I would do maybe even better with rationalism during the authority run, to be honest. But that's not what I want to talk about right now. This means we are 2 social policies away from the finisher. In the authority run, we already had, I think, 3 tenets in order. So that's 1, 2, and 3 tenets. That's also 5 social policies behind at the same point. So huge difference. Then we have fate, which is not that important. I mean, the fate per turn, we are getting most fates, honestly, from orders. So I don't want to talk about fate too much yet. Happiness, very similar, you'll see. The income, the difference is like 300 gold per turn. That 300 gold per turn, large part of that is thanks to the fact that during the authority run, I knew what to expect and I was able to prepare for it and plan much better, like gold income wise. So there, the knowledge made a difference. I actually think that the biggest difference was on this in this area of the map, because I secured these horses much earlier, and that gave us a huge income boost early. That's 8 or 7. Is it 7 or 8? It's 7 extra horses that we're selling for like 10 or 12 gold per turn. So just that makes like 100 gold per turn difference from quite early in the game. That actually might be the whole difference when it comes to the income. That just snowballed into late the game, that in the end made like 300 turns. So having 100 gold per turn earlier means that I was able to snowball that advantage into 300 gold per turn difference on turn 415. What else? Our capital. Our capital currently is making 134 culture and science per turn, 135 gold per turn, and most importantly, 157 production per turn. So that's probably all that we need to know. Also, even our infrastructure is behind. You can see that we are nowhere near finishing like railroads. So, and the overall state of the territory just looks much worse. It looks less developed for some reason. I don't know if it was just me not working or not having enough workers. That might be the reason. But then again, the reason why I couldn't get more workers was that I had to build other things that had higher priority. It's not just that I forgot to build workers. In the Civ, it's about priorities. So if you are missing something and you kind of know what you are doing in the game, the reason is that you just had to do something else that had higher priority. So not having enough workers to get our lands in better shape was just because I had to do other things that were even more important. Maybe one last thing before we load the authority run. That's our unit cap. We are pretty close with 59 units, but our max unit cap at this point is 63. It might be affected by some war weariness. So the unit, it's 15% reduction, but I'm pretty sure that during the authority run at the end of the previous episode, there is also some war weariness. So I think we can look at the numbers and don't really have to count the war weariness that much. So let's say 63 at this point with 59 units. So this is the state on turn 415 during the progress run. Our military, if you're interested in that, we still have Mehel Seferi everywhere, and that's because we don't have access to other units. But even if we had replaceable parts, if we had access to riflemen, because our income sucked, we wouldn't be able to take advantage of that. So now we load the last episode or last save file, the previous episode. I hope it won't take too long off camera. The loading doesn't really take that long. When I'm recording, it might be a little bit worse, but bear with me. It shouldn't take more than, I don't know, 10-15 seconds. Come on, come on, come on. Before I forget what I was talking about. Yeah, it's definitely taking longer than I'm used to when I'm compared to when I'm not recording. Okay. So we know how the map looks like, right? We just played this this run, so I don't have to go through everything. What we want to look at now, when we know the previous numbers, look at that. So science, I wrote down the numbers. Science previous, the progress round was 551. Here we are 1310. But I remind you, we have significantly more cities. We have vassals. So everything is more expensive, but the ratio is still significantly in favor of this number. So 1310. 1492 culture per turn. The progress run 425. It's more than 1000 culture per turn. It's just insane. Gold. You can see that the situation is very different. But I'm mostly looking at this number, not really on this one, because this comes from a different social policy tree that I decided to take. We have so much cash because I went imperialism. And also, of course, I did plan a little bit better. But even if you look at the gold per turn, as I said, it's 300 gold difference. What else? Science, like 500 fate per turn advantage. I'm not really looking at the science that much. It does make a difference, but not like crucial difference. Especially because in this run, we didn't get zealotry. Our unit cap is at 98, so that partially shows how much better the overall development of our cities is, how much more they can support. And here the war awareness supply cap reduction is even at 31.5%, so it's double of what it was during the progress run at 415. So we are so far ahead, like military-wise, with 87 active units. Tax, I already talked about that. We are at 52, but as you can see, Assyria is also at 52, so he is ahead. He's one social policy ahead compared to what he was doing the previous run. And we even have, actually, how many social policies did I count? I think I did count 3 tenants. So it should be 5 social policies ahead compared to the progress run. Massive difference. With those 5 social policies, that's also around, it's even probably more than like 100 turns difference. Like, it's so, we are so far ahead compared to the progress rides. I didn't even expect the difference to be this massive. Now, why? That's the question. Where is the difference? And honestly, of course, the difference is here, but what exactly? Why does authority give so much more? Authority allows you to start your snowball much faster. From the start, it's not as obvious. You get a few things like 2-3 turns earlier, which may not seem like that much, but this is the effect that if you can properly use it, then snowballs into getting the next thing that's in line like 5 turns earlier, the next thing then 10 turns earlier, and then you end up 100 turns ahead culture-wise and science-wise. One big reason why authority is so strong, why the snowball starts so fast, is that already the opener basically opens up infinite possibilities for snowball and lets you decide how hard you're gonna snowball, how much you want to like take advantage of this, because the culture that you get from the opener is based on what you do. It's not fixed. the more units you kill, the more culture you get. So it's up to you to find as many kills as possible to get the culture. And if you take advantage of this properly, that is the thing that already allows you to get the other social policies much faster. Dominance works in the same way. The more you kill, the more you get out of it. And we are playing on Deity, where the AIs are just throwing units at you all the time. The flood never stops. So already these two, I would even say, actually maybe these three, let's say. Tribute is a part of it as well, because when you pick it up early, that gold and production, that's exactly what you are missing. And the tribute helps with very significantly. So these three, for me, are already better than whole progress. Also, progress for me is built in the wrong way, because the weakest part of progress is its opener, and that's what slows you down the most. The authority opener and progress opener, you can't even begin to compare. The progress opener should probably be the progress finisher, and you should start with something like organization, or maybe even even expertise, maybe as the opener, something like that. I wouldn't even mind getting liberty as an opener, basically anything. So before you even basically begin the game, you are already in the worst position by not getting anything from the first social policy you pick up when you go progress, and getting infinite possibilities from the opener of authority. And to be honest, that's it. Like, everything else comes from the openers. If you can use them properly, that's all you need to then snowball the game. You can't do anything with progress opener. Like, receive science when a citizen is born. Sure, you can focus more on growth and get your population, I don't know, 3 turns earlier and 5 turns earlier. In average, how much population you really get compared to how many kills you get. You are getting dozens of turns in the early game from barbarians. Here, you can't really get much population. And I see 15 science for every citizen already in your capital, scaling with era. Yeah, that's a tiny little boost when you pick it up, but it's how much? It's 60 science. It's nothing. Receive culture when technology is researched. There is fixed amount of tax that you can research, and there is fixed pace, more or less, at which you are getting your tax. So once again, you can't really get anything extra from the opener, but even the rest of progress. I already talked about this. The numbers are fixed. Here, +2 production in every city, fixed. Nothing you can do about it. If you play bad or if you play good, it's still gonna be +2. +3 gold in every city, fixed. Again, you can't increase it in any way. Compared to the culture and the science, the more kills you find, the more you get out of it, and it doesn't have a cap. If you kill 1,000 units, you get 1,000 times this bonus. Here it's always 3 gold. You can probably see where the problem is. 10%, it's always 10%. 10 culture per building, always fixed. It scales with era, but it's always fixed. Here again, this whole thing, everything you get from progress has a fixed value compared to authority, where it's up to you how much you get out of it. It continues even with Imperium, for example. The more cities you settle, the more you get out of it. The more cities you conquer, the more you get out of it. It's not as ridiculous as these two, but still, it's up to you how much you get from Imperium. Discipline is fixed, but it's really good. And then other is okay, but it's like nothing special. So this might be the weakest social policy from authority. Then the finisher. Finisher is okay when you can balance. The finisher is weaker. Finisher from Well, even the finisher from Progress isn't that great, to be honest. It's maybe comparable. The finishers really don't matter that much. The whole thing is here. Um, if you wanted to make this a bit more competitive, as I said, make the opener from Progress the part of the finisher, and move one of these three as an opener, and at the same time as you boost Progress, you would have to nerf authority in a way that the most snowballing parts of authority would come into play later. So dominant, I would switch discipline, at least discipline with dominance, and I would make the culture from kills a part of authority finisher. That way you would slow down authority enough that it would be competitive with Progress. I hope it doesn't happen, because that would make authority much weaker and I would like the game less. I really like using authority to its full extent. That's one of the big things that make like this game so much fun for me. How much I can like push the authority, how much I can take advantage of it. I really enjoy doing it. So, and we honestly could end the comparison here and they will just explain enough. The rest just is the continuation of the snowball. It's just the ability of the player to keep the ball rolling and like never stop. I decided to take Filthy here compared to like I did Progress Authority in the first run. Here I went Authority Filthy. Here you have very strong start with Filthy, and if we were not playing Ethiopia, who really wants to finish the whole 3 to get a free tag, I would have probably then switched to Progress after the first 2, because we didn't really get anything from the remaining 4 Filthy social policies. So as a different civ, I would go Progress. And then the last one, I went Imperialism here, Rationalism with the Progress run. It didn't really matter. At the time when I was thinking about, do I take Imperialism or Rationalism, the game was over. It really feels like the game was over when I took the Authority opener. It's that ridiculous. So, that's culture. Science-wise, of course, because we are so far ahead, the AIs are at more or less the same state as they were in the Progress run, or even slightly better in case of Assyria. But because we are 5 techs ahead, we are fighting the same units with more advanced units, so the whole fighting is much easier, and that's what the advantage that you build up here. This is the way how it translates onto the map, that suddenly your side of the battlefield is more advanced than everything you are facing. Our whole army is 1 tech level ahead of what it was in the Progress run, while our enemies are at the same state. So it's so much faster to fight them. Also, we have more because our overall like development is much better, and that again comes from like Authority offering you more. The combination of the scaling production early and the bonus production from Tribute allows your secondary cities to develop faster than what Progress gives you. Progress gives you decent bonuses for your secondary cities, but it's still not as good as what Authority gives. Last thing that I wanted to look at, that's our capital, just to give you the comparison. I'm not sure if I wrote down the numbers for the capital. I think I did. So, gold-wise, we were making 135. Here we are making 165. So probably a large part of this is coming also from vassals. That might actually be the difference. If we were able to vassalize Shaka in the Progress run, we wouldn't have as much problems with gold, but still, it wouldn't be ideal. Then culture 192 here, we were at 134 in the Progress run, so it's like 60 culture difference. It may seem not like much, but it's just 1 city, and this then can be multiplied by some other modifiers. Um, then we have science. There is a huge difference. 134 the previous run, 223 here. So um, it's almost 100 more. I'm not even working the specialist slot here. And in the progress run, we had rationalism, so we had observatory. So we are actually working for a specialist or scientist specialist in the progress run. And it was still significantly less. So you can see how much better our capital is because of what we managed to get in the early game from authority. This also is the effect of the authority, of the extra culture. Because one thing, the culture that you are, or one other thing, except for more getting social policies earlier, and another thing that this translates into all of the extra culture from kills is that your borders are growing faster. Because your border growth is based on your culture, and the culture you get from kills is translated into border growth. And authority rewards us from border growth. So we are getting bonuses from tribute faster, so we are getting extra production in our capital at much faster pace. So we are getting buildings much faster. So it snowballs, like authority really snowballs everything. Like not just social policy science, it snowballs even the development of your cities. That's another thing. Happiness-wise, even though we have multiple cities that we currently are building courthouses in all of these cities. Actually, Karshemish, I think, just finished courthouse, but Assur, Medina is puppeted, but here we don't have a courthouse. Here we don't have a courthouse. These are big cities. They're causing quite a lot of unhappiness. That's 57 unhappiness from occupied cities, and we are still at 39%. That's the overall development, because now look at that, how many cities are just working on public works, just focusing on happiness, which at this point was our only issue. So yeah, here is the comparison. I don't know what else to say. Maybe you can look at the religion a little bit. I said that I don't want to look at that too much. We could talk about that a little bit. The religion that we got in the authority run was different. It wasn't weaker. It just was strong in different ways. I learned quite a bit during the progress run about religion, so I planned a little bit better, but the AIs were also able to take away something from me during the authority run that I wanted to get. So, tutelary gods, I think that's the same thing that we took as the progress run. I'm not sure. But I think that's the same thing, so not much to say there. Holy Law, not sure. It didn't really give us anything. I probably took Holy Law as well, but this is irrelevant, doesn't basically give anything. But then comes the interesting part. We got orders as well, but in the progress run, instead of taking pagodas, I took, I think, I don't remember the name. This is the scaling science, and I have to say that because I didn't expect that I wouldn't be able to maintain our religion, how should I put this? I wrongly guessed how the religious situation is going to develop. I picked a wrong belief. If I was able to have, as I was able to have in most of the previous games, I was able to have my own religion in most of my cities throughout the whole game. Not this time. I lost the religion everywhere, and therefore getting for this how is it called? Scholasticism? Something like that. The scaling science belief didn't give us anything during the progress run, while pagodas gave us everything. Pagodas just did so much work. So that was one thing that was much better during the authority run. This was a massive bonus, and we would definitely be doing better in the progress run if I picked those up. But then Enhancer, we have much worse in this run. I wanted to go Zealotry. We lost it, so I had to take Syncretism, which, I mean, it's nice, and I'm not saying it's bad, but we still would be able to get more out of Zealotry, because I would be able to translate this excess science into units, and because of that, I would be able to spend gold that I had to invest into units into city development, or production that I have to waste on units I would have to be able to use on faster city development. So Pagodas sped us up, but Syncretism slowed us down compared to Zealotry. So maybe this religion is a little bit better than the one during the progress run, but not that much. Zealotry, it may seem like very straightforward. You get units for faith, but you also have to think about the effects of that. When you can use a different yield for something than the other yields you would otherwise have to use can be used on or somewhere else, right? Here we had to buy or train units. If we are able to fade by them, then the production and gold would go into city development. So Zealotry indirectly gives you gold and production. Okay, that was a lot of talking, but the comparison was the reason for the restart and why I made this series the way I did. So I hope you didn't mind me talking for a while and comparing. I also did this for myself partially. I wanted to. I like had this this idea about how the game is going to develop, but I just wanted to see it. I wanted to compare it, and I wanted to see how much exactly the difference is going to be. And honestly, I didn't expect it to be that much. That these three social policies will make 100 terrains in culture and science during early modern era. Plus, if we really wanted to, if we just compare it like the era, at during the progress run, turn 415, we still didn't have a single modern era tech, so we were in industrial era. If I really wanted to, I could probably have been in atomic era in this game if I really focused on combined arms after ballistics. So it would be like 2 eras ahead, which is also insanely ridiculous. And it matters the era that you are at, because the farther in the game you are, the later era you are in, the more you are getting from your extra yields, because many things scale with era. So we would be able to get even more from our orders, from all of the authority policies, because they do scale with era. So that would be relevant, actually. So yeah, I think enough talking. I talked probably already too much, but I tried to compare all of the aspects of the game. Once again, part of the difference was that I knew better what to expect, and I also planned my cities a little bit better. The move north was partially because I knew about Monte, that he would expand in this way, and I wanted to prevent it. But it wasn't all of it. Large part was because I realized, or I learned during the progress run, the value of strategic resources, and I wanted to secure the horses. So that was the decisive reason. If there were no strategic resources here, I probably wouldn't go in this direction anyway, even though I knew about Monte. So yeah, that's it. It was fun. I wanted to do this for quite a while, and I think this was a good game to do it, because of how the first game went. It really illustrated well why I'm always going authority. Maybe one more thing that I should just briefly talk about is tradition. Tradition has insanely strong opener, like really strong, and I very often I was tempted to like get the opener even in authority games for the extra population, but you just don't have time. If you do that, it's a bait. Authority policies are just so good that you never have time to squeeze the opener in. It's weird, but I tried it multiple times and it always was a bait. So tradition can be very strong for very specific games, and I would almost say that you want to go tradition only in one city challenges, because it just makes your capital insane, but it doesn't give anything for your other cities, or so little for your other cities, that if you are planning to settle secondary cities, tradition just isn't good enough, even with how good your capital becomes. Then basically going tradition makes your secondary cities a burden for such a long time that it's not worth it. So honestly, at this point, I think that I would only go tradition for one city challenges, and authority even for non-domination games. As long as you are playing on Deity, you have to expect that you will be fighting so much throughout the whole game that authority always gives you more. You would have to go such a specific settings like no barbarians and the most pacifist AIs, that then maybe progress would be acceptable, or maybe tradition would be acceptable, and I still think it wouldn't be enough. Like that, authority is that much better. So yeah, I think now I can make a cut here. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope you are not too disappointed that I'm not playing this series until the victory screen, and that the last episode was just talking. But as I said already, this was like the second half of this run was to make this comparison, so that's why I decided to end the series with the comparison. And the next series, hopefully, is just gonna be just a normal run. There were quite a few changes during the time that we played Ethiopia, so I will now take some time off until the next Monday. I will install the latest version of Vox Populi, play a little bit, decide on which civ I will play as. Currently the suggestions are Songhai, because Songhai is a very strong early Mandikul cavalry, they're unique buildings. But it would clearly send us into a domination game. The other suggestion was also domination game, like domination game, but like island map Polynesia. Problem is Polynesia on island map is just insane. They're just so good with their ability to grab land so much earlier than anyone else. So that would also be pretty early snowball, most likely. I'm not sure for how long the game would be interesting. Songhai, I wanted to play Songhai for a while, but I don't know. After this game, I don't feel like going such a straight up domination game. I was thinking about something more specific, maybe handpick some pacifist civs, and like go non-domination game with authority, just a defensive game. Maybe conquer a little bit of territory so that we would have like, I don't know, 7-8 cities, and only do that if we are not able to settle 7 or 8 cities. Just grab enough territory so that we could comfortably then like focus on our development and try to go for science victory, maybe something like that, like halfway in between what many people were asking me to do, like non-domination pacifist, and then my typical full domination games, like non-domination or partial domination with defensive fighting and different victory condition in the end. Something like that, but I'm just not sure what kind of civ I would have to play with, because for this we would need a strong civ, something like Russia, but I think I already played as Russia. So I'll have to check. If you have any ideas for this plan, then let me know in comments. I'll also have to check the saves that we didn't play as yet, because at this point I just don't remember. To be honest, we played so many, but there are also so many left that I'm just losing track. But yeah, we have almost a week to decide. You have almost a week to give me your ideas. So please, anything you can think of, let me know in comments. I will try to create something from all of these ideas. Hopefully something interesting that we will all enjoy. And yeah, that's it for this series, and that's it for this week. I think. I hope that you like this series. I hope that you like this episode, and I also hope that you're gonna join me next time again. Until then, have a good time. Bye bye.